we are down to the final two teams that remain in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs won in the AFC, and they get to head to Las Vegas, where they will be taking on the NFC champion San Francisco 49ers in a rematch from the Super Bowl in 2019 that gave Patrick Mahomes his first championship. There are so many very intriguing storylines, two very fun teams, and maybe not the teams that America wanted to see, but they are the two best teams in the league, and they've been up there for the entire season. So today, we're going to preview this Super Bowl, and I'm going to give you guys who I think is ultimately going to come out on top, who I think is going to end up winning.
We heard it all
in
week
the keys
long
to the game
that
for
Patrick
both sides.
Mahomes and the Chiefs
Leave a
going
like,
on the road
subscribe if you
was
are
going to
new.
be a tall
Let's
task.
go ahead and get into this
I was
matchup.
a guy who wasn't picking the
Kansas
Chiefs
City
in this
Chiefs
one.
have won the
Buffalo
AFC
was playing some of
for
the
their
best
fourth
football
time in
the
5
entire
years,
NFL,
and their
this was a
second
Chiefs
time
offense that I
in
just
the last
wasn't
two
moved
seasons.
by.
After
Yet
winning the
here
Super
they
Bowl
are
last year,
in a
this is
game
Chiefs
where
team that
their
had really
offense
high
was
expectations
really clicking
coming into
on
the year.
all units.
They got off to
Travis
a pretty
Kelce
slow
had
start.
probably his best
Lost
game
the opener against the
of the
Detroit
season,
Lions.
had 2
This was
touchdowns
an
in this
offense
one.
that never
His
really
first
felt like they
touchdowns
got
since
their
week
legs
11
in the
against
regular
the Eagles.
season.
And we
We
finally
saw
got to
an
see this
emergence
offense start
of the
clicking a
rookie
little
wide
bit more.
receiver Rashee
The
Rice
run game
towards
with
the end of the
Isaiah
season.
Pacheco was working.
But as a whole,
they were opening
this was
up
an
run
offense
lanes
that
and
really
giving
seemed to be
Mahomes
struggling.
time.
They just
On
didn't
top
have
of
that
that,
home run
you look
threat
at what
that
their
they've had in
defense
years
was able to
past.
do. They were able to
Receivers
shut down
dropping
this
balls
Bills
like
team.
Kadarius Toney
The Bills really
and
didn't have
Marquez
any shots over
Valdes-Scantling.
the top.
But what
A
kept this
defense
team
that did a
alive
really
all
good job
season
of
long
keeping
was
everything
the stellar
close.
play
Josh Allen
from their
was
defense.
really he
Steve
had a lot of
Spagnuolo
time,
did
but they
a
were
heck
doing
of
a
a
really
job
good job
as
of
the
covering
defensive
down the
coordinator,
field.
having one
My
of the
biggest
top
complaint with
units in
this
all of
Chiefs team,
football.
it wasn't
They really
just their
struggled
defensive
against the
line,
run.
where
They were able to
James
generate pressure
Cook,
with the all-pro
Josh
Chris
Allen.
Jones.
This team
You
was
have
able
George
to run the
Karlaftis.
ball
They were able to generate
exceptionally
pressure,
well, and they
but
were
this
picking up
secondary
yards
played out of their
on
minds.
nearly every
Trent
single
McDuffie
play.
was
This
absolutely
Chiefs run defense,
unbelievable
which has
in
been
his
pretty
second
solid
year.
all season
L'Jarius
long,
Sneed was
really
incredible
struggled
as
in
well.
this one.
And they
It
have
is
so
definitely
many
something
pieces
that
on
I am
that
going to be
secondary
taking note of
that
because
has really kept them in a
not
lot
a
of
great
games.
sign
They
if you're going up
really
against a
locked up in
Baltimore
that
team that
Buffalo
loves to
game,
run the
and they
football.
did the same in the
This is a
AFC
team that
Championship
defensively I
against
thought was
Baltimore.
really dialed back,
And the
and their
even more
corners
exciting
did
thing for the Chiefs,
amazing job
their offense
of covering
seems to have found
Diggs,
their rhythm
Davis,
again.
and Shakir.
Travis
And a lot of the
Kelce
passes that
had an
Buffalo was running
incredible
were
AFC
within 5
Championship
yards of
game
the line of
where
scrimmage.
he was just on
The
another
offense
level,
seemed to get it
getting
going.
open,
The run game looked
making
good.
plays after
Everything
the catch,
started to look
and they're
like the
getting
Chiefs of the
Rashee Rice
past.
involved.
They're actually
scheming
looking
him
like a
open,
team that
and they have
might have a chance
solid run
to go
attack
back
as
to the
Isaiah
Super Bowl.
Pacheco
We know
is
this is
a
a
really
team that
hard
has
player to
championship
tackle.
pedigree.
He could just
and Patrick
run guys
Mahomes
over.
has been in this
There's
scenario
a lot
before.
to like, and if
So
this
let's see what
Chiefs
they can
offense
do
is getting
going
into
up
a
against a
groove,
really, really good
you have to
Baltimore
love that.
squad.
I still do have questions about their offensive line. And we didn't see Joe Thuney in the game against Baltimore, and they started, well, I don't even remember the name of who they started, but he played a pretty solid game, all things considered. But this is an offensive line that, as a whole, I've had questions about all year. Jawan Taylor's the most penalized player in the NFL. They've got a lot of question marks to me on the tackle positions, and Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor. If the offense can get into a rhythm, you've got a lot on your side, and it's really hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes, who time after time after time has shown us he can win when it matters most. He can win in the big moments, and that's exactly what Mahomes has done throughout his entire career, and the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes look to win their 3rd Super Bowl ring. The Niners have dominated really since the regular season. They had one little stretch of games where it looked like they might fall off, and then they had a bad loss to Baltimore, and people were constantly asking questions. Can this 49ers team get to that next level? This has been by far the most talented team in the NFL. They came into the season with a lot of expectations after adding key free agents and had a pretty solid draft as a whole. And then they made a really big splash at the trade deadline to go and acquire Chase Young. This team went all in for a Super Bowl this year. They've got some pretty key free agents coming down the pipeline, and they had to go balls to the wall and try and win it all this year, and they are in the Super Bowl. This is an offense that has been pretty up and down, and it starts with the run game, and it hasn't been a down run game at all. Christian McCaffrey has been quite possibly the best player in all of football this year, consistently getting into the end zone, fighting through contact, and he is a huge safety blanket for Brock Purdy in this offense if there aren't plays open down the field. This team has so many playmakers on their team, whether it's George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, and you have the best left tackle in football. There are some concerns I have with this team defensively, though, and we've seen it throughout this playoff run. I know Nick Bosa had 2 sacks in that game against Detroit, but this is a team that really hasn't been creating pressure. And against Patrick Mahomes, you have no chance if you are not going to create pressure. You have to force him outside the pocket, force him to extend plays. And I know he's great when he's doing that, but I think that gives you your best chance to win. And over the last few weeks, Steve Wilks and this defense have not done a great job at creating the pressure that they need to be doing. On top of that, I really think Brock Purdy has shown some weaknesses. Again, an incredible comeback in that Detroit game as they were down 24-7 going into the half, had one of the largest comebacks in NFC Championship game history. Brock Purdy played really well in the second half, but we got to look at the first half, and there have been times where he's overthrowing guys, his accuracy was really choppy. He went into the half with a 39 passer rating, and against this Chiefs defense, you can't let anything up. You've gone up against 2 pretty easy defensive units over the last couple of weeks in Detroit and Green Bay, and you've come out on top. But this is a Chiefs defense that doesn't allow big plays. They don't really allow anything outside the box. I think it's going to be a really interesting game to see how these 2 head coaching geniuses in Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid scheme things up for their teams and what this game is going to be. I like this Niners team. I like what they've done. But this is going to be their toughest task yet. This wasn't the Super Bowl America wanted. Coming into conference championship weekend, everyone was hoping for a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl. Unfortunately, neither of those teams got in. But this is a really, really fun matchup with some really great storylines. I mentioned it for the Niners. This team is going to have to pressure Patrick Mahomes, but I also think they need to be better against the run. This is a run defense that really, really has struggled the last couple of weeks with Aaron Jones and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both having really big games. And on the opposite side, I think it's the same case. This is a Chiefs running defense that didn't play great when the Ravens did run the football. And unfortunately, the Ravens didn't utilize the run to their advantage this week. But on top of that, against this Bills team, they really struggled to stop the run a couple of weeks ago. So that is something that I'm going to be monitoring. This game is in Vegas. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. I think there's going to be more Niners fans there than Chiefs fans. I'm really excited about this matchup. I think both defenses are stout. Both offenses are stout. And just for the record, for the people that have been watching my videos, my playoff previews, my track record's been pretty horrible all playoffs long. But I'm going to go with the one pick that I haven't made the entire playoffs. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to run it back. This team is on another level right now. What they've done throughout these playoffs, I have been very, very impressed with. Their offense is moving the football. They have this added run element that they haven't had in recent years with Isaiah Pacheco. On top of that, yes, they don't have that number 1 receiver, but Rashee Rice is emerging to be a stud in this league. I'm not even going to mention what the defense has been doing, but I think this defense can really make life difficult for Brock Purdy. This is a Niners offensive line that has shown weaknesses outside of the left tackle position from time to time. I think Kansas City is the best team in the league right now, and while I like what San Francisco has done, what they are doing, I think they're going to come up short again, and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win Super Bowl 58.